Hey everyone, welcome to Bite Your Tongue, the podcast. Join me, your host, Denise Gorant, as we explore the ins and outs of building healthy relationships with our adult children. Together, we'll speak with experts, share heartfelt stories, and get timely advice, addressing topics that matter most to you. Get ready to dive deep and learn to build and nurture deep connections with our adult children. And of course, when to bite our tongues. So let's get started. Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Bite Your Tongue, the podcast. I'm Denise, your host, and I'm really glad you're with us. For this episode, and I know I say this a lot, but we're doing something really different. This is the last episode of season 7, and today it's just me and some excerpts from one of my all-time favorite podcasts, This American Life with Ira Glass. For those of you who may not be familiar with Ira's work, he is the groundbreaking creator and host of the podcast, This American Life. His storytelling helped redefine public radio and podcasting. He's the recipient of the Peabody, Pulitzer, and Edward R. Murrow Awards. Actually, Ira is widely considered one of the most influential storytellers of our time. Now, as you may have guessed, I would have loved to have Ira on the show. But sadly, it didn't happen. But Ira did the next best thing. He very kindly gave me permission to use these excerpts from his show. And honestly, I was so grateful. What a class act. And what a treat for me to connect with him at all. So let me tell you how it came about. I was listening to a recent episode of This American Life that aired in March of this year. It was called Call Your Parents. Naturally, that got my attention. As I listened, I found myself completely drawn in. In fact, when I mentioned the episode to Connie, our audio engineer, she had heard the episode as well. And she told me she literally had to sit in her car and wait for the episode to finish. She was so engrossed. During the episode, Ira is sharing stories and interviews he did with his parents when he was a young adult. He's 67 years old now. He's never had children, but of course he's been an adult child. And like so many people, his relationship with his parents was loving, complicated, and at times very strained. For the past several years of doing this podcast, I can't tell you how many times I've heard some version of the following. It's never been this hard. Things are so different now. Our parents didn't deal with this. This generation is so selfish. Why doesn't my adult child come to see me? Why don't they call? Why don't they text? Why are they so disrespectful? And on and on. Listening to this episode of Ira's, I found myself thinking, maybe all of this angst with our adult children is not so new. Maybe our parents found us just as difficult and just as disrespectful. Either they were busier than us or they knew how to bite their tongues. In these recordings I'm going to share, you will hear so many of the themes we talk about today. Ira's parents worried about his career. They never thought he'd make enough money to support his family working at public radio. He pulled away. He sometimes didn't call for months. There was judgment on both sides. Yet it's completely clear that he loved his parents very much. In other words, none of this sounded so new. It sounded familiar, it sounded human, and it sounded like something many families have probably been dealing with for generations. We're just talking about it now. So let's get started with the first recording. Ira gives us the setup, but here he is talking about his mother and with his mother, who was a therapist in Baltimore. I hope you like it as much as I do.
This first excerpt is from an episode that we did called Adult Children. This is the 4th time I had one of my parents on the radio show. This is May 1996, which means that my mom in this recording is younger than I am right now. She is 60 years old in this recording. And I picked this one to begin because it's one that directly addresses the actual tensions between my parents and their 3 children. Though as you'll hear, it addresses them in kind of a light way that does not get too deep or heavy. But you can also feel that there's something real under the surface, I think. Okay, so I'm gonna start this with the open of that episode where I tell a little story, very brief story, that kind of sets up the interview that then will happen with my mom. Here we go.
Well, when I picked up the phone, it was my mom, and it had been about a month since we had spoken. And As usual, that was my fault. Anyway, she said that she had been invited to speak with a group of women at the local Hadassah, the Jewish women's organization. My mom's a therapist in the Jewish suburbs outside Baltimore. And these Hadassah women have this group that meets regularly. All of them are women in their, some way, I guess, I'm just going to jump in again here in 2026. I am reading this in such a heavy way. Like, hearing it now, I was like, I am really trying to milk the drama out of this. Anyway, back to 1996 me. All of them are women in their, some way, I guess, in the late 40s to early 60s. And when the group first started meeting, apparently they discussed all sorts of stuff. It was wide-ranging. But as time progressed, they realized there was only one topic they all really wanted to talk about. Only one topic they all needed to talk about. And that was their relationships with their adult children. And at some point that became the only thing the group discussed. It became its official reason for existence. They had such trauma. And they didn't know what to make of what was going on between them and their adult children. And they invited my mom to lead a discussion on how to get along with your adult children. So as for preparation, my mom's a big preparer, and she does research and looks up articles and calls experts. Anyway, as part of this preparation, she decided to call her own 3 adult children. By the time she called me, my mom had already called my older sister, Randy. And she asked my sister what advice she would give the group. Randy's advice was brief and to the point. Tell them to get a different leader. Adult children. Okay, so then what happens is that I explained, here's what we're doing on the show today. It's going to be an episode about adult children and their relationships with their adult parents. And then as I set up the interview with my mom, I say that I told my mom that I thought that my sister Randy had been maybe a little harsh in the way that she put things.
Can I say something?
I was just going to say, feel free to amend or correct.
Yes, when I told your sister what you said, she said, "Oh, well, I was just kidding. I didn't mean to be mean." So I don't want her to be blasphemed.
All right, but you're a professional psychologist. Now, don't you think often? Don't you think that there was a note of hostility in what she said?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay,
absolutely.
And you and I can agree. And frankly, she's not on the phone. And if my sister Randy is listening to this bonus episode, please just forgive me. I didn't mean to. Or I guess I did mean to throw you under the bus. Okay, let's keep going. So, Mom, the thing I wanted to ask you about is, okay, so you had this seminar with all these...
it wasn't a seminar, it was a discussion group.
The discussion group.
And I was the facilitator.
And how many women was it?
Around 30-some.
Oh, so a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you had to characterize in a phrase people's relationships with their children, would you describe them as being very good, somewhat okay, generally kind of yucky? I mean, how would you describe it?
I would say that there were a lot of people whose dreams haven't been realized, whose expectations haven't been met, and so there's a sense of disappointment, although there were some people there who were pleased with all aspects. And then, of course, the question was, well, why are you here?
To gloat? Was that the answer? To gloat and show you pictures of grandchildren?
A little bit.
A little bit, yeah, okay. But,
more to connect with the other women, I suppose. But these are the criteria for satisfaction. Do you want to hear them?
Quickly.
Whether their children were married.
Quickly. I'm so rude to my own mother. Move it along, Mom. Quickly.
Whether their children were married.
Yes.
So that having single children was a disappointment.
I'm just going to go to a checklist here.
Whether their children lived close by or far away.
God, I'm shooting 0 for 2 so far. Keep going.
All right. Whether their children appreciated them.
Okay. Yeah.
Whether they
had 1 for 3.
Whether they had grandchildren. Somebody announced that one of their children was pregnant with the first grandchild. Everybody went, "Ooh," when they clapped. You know, so that's the epitome.
Yeah.
Whether their children were successful in their lives. How much they liked their child's spouse and got along with them.
You told me on the phone earlier something interesting about this.
I'm just going to interrupt. At this point in my life, I was 36, 37, and I had no spouse and was deeply uninterested in having children. And this was not something that my parents were too pleased about, either of those things, and a point of discussion now and then.
You told me on the phone earlier something interesting about this.
Yes, I told you that there were several people there who did not like their child's choice of a partner at the time that they got married, but had grown to love them very much, and in some cases even like them better than their own child.
See, now I wonder if that is because there is an inherent tension between children and their adult parents. That the child sometimes wants to be treated as the child and sometimes wants to be treated as an independent adult. And for the parent, it's pretty much a hellish guessing game.
Okay, isn't that something? I mean, just hearing that in 1996, Ira Glass had already done an episode called Adult Children, that alone says a lot. Yes, some things have changed, but some things have really not. And now on to my next recording. This was really my favorite. It's Ira talking about a real and honest conversation he had with his father when he was a young adult. And what his father says back to him is so simple, so loving, and honestly so wise. It is exactly the kind of response so many parents of adult children today struggle to give. Take a listen.
With me and my dad, and it happened on tape. And for the life of me, I have no idea where this recording is. And I wish I could find it. And that is when we were taping for some episode, we got into a very real conversation and tape just kept rolling. And I don't remember how we got on it, but it really was about like, was he a good dad? And he was really asking in a real way. And then I felt like I will try to meet him in this moment. And I had been in like therapy for a while, and my dad, like I will say, like was a very well-intentioned dad who really did try to do his best. But his dad left when he was 4 or 5 years old. He didn't grow up with a dad, and he just didn't know what it would be to be a dad. He really was inventing it as he went along, and he could be very, he would just get angry at random stuff in ways that I really felt like I spent my childhood kind of dodging around and trying to anticipate and trying to like read his moods. And basically I said, like, I explained to him, like, there were the ways that he treated us that really affected the way that I treat everyone in the world today, and went into like maybe a little more depth than I'm doing with you here right now because you are not my father. And I said, like, it was hard. I said, like, I've been in therapy. I'm trying to like change the way I am with other people, so I'm not so alert all the time to like how they're going to treat me, and just trust people a little more. And I just kind of like laid out things in a way. And he heard this and he paused and he said, like, honestly, he said like the perfect thing. He paused and he said, I'm so sorry. Like, that must have been so tough for you. And that must be so tough for you. And he said, like, look, I was doing my best. Like, I didn't know. I didn't have a dad. Like, I didn't know how to do it. Like, I really was trying. And then we never talked about it again.
That line just gets me. I'm so sorry. That must have been so tough for you. His father apologized with love in his heart. And for so many parents, that kind of response is incredibly hard. But when it happens, it can be and do everything. When you listen to Ira, he has such a gift as a storyteller. It makes me so jealous. But Ira, you're wonderful to listen to. If you have time, I would encourage you to listen to the entire episode of This American Life called Call Your Parents. There's so much wisdom in it, and so much that I think many of us will recognize in our own families. So for the next few months, as we end season 7, we'll be doing some episode reruns, but we'll also be introducing a new series called Straight from the Listener Line, Real Questions, Real Answers. In that series, we'll take one listener question at one time and bring in an expert to help us answer it thoroughly, honestly, and with real life experience behind it. So keep an eye out for those. They'll be dropping soon. A huge thank you to Ira Glass for allowing us to use these excerpts from his show. It meant so much to me. And always, huge thank you to Connie Gornt-Fisher, our audio engineer, and of course, all of you for listening. Remember, we're now on Substack, and you can also become a paid subscriber. Thanks to many of you who've already done that. It really does help us go on with the show. Remember, you can reach out to us with questions or comments by calling our listener line at 719-347-1106 or emailing biteyourtonguepodcast@gmail.com. You can also visit us at biteyourtonguepodcast.com, and there's ways to support the show there too, for as little as $5. It's one of the ways we keep this podcast going. Thank you all for listening. I hope you enjoyed season 7. And remember, sometimes you just have to bite your tongue.